What is going on with the price of Hex? I mean, look at this thing. Ever since we had our local bottom back in early January, actually January 5th, right here, Hex has done basically a 5x. It is almost about to hit 10 cents here. And it doesn't look like it's stopping. It's actually breaking out of this descending wedge. And as we know, anytime a breakout happens, it tends to be quite bullish and sometimes signifies a reversal. Now, before we kind of get into price, I want to give you guys a quick little background. So I have sacrificed for Pulsex, and I'm going to go over everything, what Hex is, what Pulsex is, and actually even how to buy Hex in this video, because it looks like that there's going to be a pretty good money-making opportunity with Hex, especially once Pulsex finally launches. Now, I'm not going to lie. I am pretty upset that I did not end up buying Hex around at these levels. I was kind of torn, buying at these levels right here. Because let's be honest, the market was looking pretty scary. At that point, Hex had already fallen. What's this? Hex already actually had fallen 95%. I mean, typically we do see alts lose at least 95 to 98%. So, you could have went off of that metric at least, and said, okay, I'll DCA. If it starts going lower from here, which I didn't. I'm definitely not going to buy now just because this would be kind of chasing the trade. But I do think that we are going to see lower prices. But like I mentioned, I do want to go over actually how to buy Hex, how to stake it, and then kind of go over some, Pulsex theories. What could be the price of Pulsex and Pulsechain when it actually finally launches, and obviously what that's going to do to the price of Hex as well. So sit back. It's going to be a pretty easy video. We're going to dive in. Obviously, if this is your first time on my channel, guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and as always, hit that push bell notification icon to get all the notifications as to whenever I drop any type of video. I'm going to be doing a deep dive on really a lot of altcoins right now. There is kind of like this possibility that we might be going into like a mini alt rally or like a mini bull run, but we'll see. Macroeconomic conditions are still really bad. Banks are still collapsing. Silicon Valley Bank obviously happened, was that weeks ago now. We recently had First Republic Bank, and I'm sure that there's something big brewing. But let's just dive into it. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Hex is actually a Richard Hart project. So if you come over here to Twitter, this is Richard Hart. He's actually recently changed, his profile picture to when he was a kid down here, actually in South Florida. So Richard Hart, if you see this, I'm actually also in South Florida, Boynton Beach, but I did live in Sunrise, which is really close to Fort Lauderdale. So next time you're here, man, shoot me a DM. Let's meet up. But he did recently change his profile picture, and he did actually take Hex.com out of his Twitter bio. Now, there are some theories as to why. We know that the SEC is starting to crack down on altcoins. They're labeling them as securities. Is that a reason why? Does Richard Hart maybe feel threatened? I don't know. I'm not really going to speculate, but it just, the timing of it per se is a little coincidental. Okay. But there hasn't really been too many updates necessarily on Hex, because obviously Hex is a finished project. Just, again, looking at the price of Hex, and as we can see, it's just been completely outperforming not only most coins, but it's actually been outperforming Bitcoin and Ethereum specifically. I mean, as we can see, since the beginning of 2023, Hex is up a 4x, guys. It's up 4x compared to Bitcoin, only 67%, and Ethereum 45%. And as we know, it's not even listed correctly in like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, right? If I just go over here and actually pull up CoinMarketCap, you'll see that it's nowhere near where it should be by market cap. It's not even anywhere in the top 10. Just alone by market cap, I do believe it's supposed to be at least like a top 5 or top 6 coin. So if we search it up, it's actually labeled at like 201, I believe. Now, the reason for that, I don't know. That's something you have to take up with CoinMarketCap. So yeah, their market cap is sitting at $17.2 billion, which if we do go and take a look at the listings right here, it would actually be number 7. It would actually be above Cardano. So its market cap is larger than Cardano's right now, and there's for a good reason why. So if you never bought Hex, you've probably noticed that it's not on any centralized exchanges, and there's a reason for that, because Richard Hart does not believe in centralized exchanges. He is one of the biggest proponents for, not your keys, not your crypto. He has been telling people for years, look, whatever you buy, get it off of a centralized exchange, get a cold storage wallet, own your keys. Too many people are getting scammed. Too many people are still losing their crypto. Too many people are still leaving, all their funds on these, platforms that then end up going bankrupt, and they never see these monies again, right? They never see this crypto ever again. He called it for Celsius. He called it for BlockFi. So he's one of he's a very foundational person in the crypto space. I mean, he's been in crypto for quite a long time. He launched Hex back in 2019. Some people say he's kind of like the creator / father of DeFi. I mean, I don't know if we're going to go to that extent, but he knows what he's doing. That's what I'm going to get. That's what I'm going to say. And also, full disclosure, I did make a fairly negative video about Richard Hart and Hex. Basically, this time last year, I was calling Hex a scam. Obviously, going to humble myself here, and I was definitely out of line doing a lot of that stuff because I was reading off of some articles that looked like it was definitely a paid promo, or was by somebody that specifically hated Hex and just really wanted to bring down Richard Hart. So I will admit my fault there, Richard, Hex community. Sorry for that. Obviously, there still maybe are a little bit of shady things, the origin address, but we don't have to get into the nitty gritty of that. At the end of the day, guys, the name of the game is to make money in this market. That's the name of the game. Whether it's through buying and holding Hex or whether it's through trading Hex, regardless, the name of the game is to make money. That's why I'm in here. So to buy Hex, obviously what you're going to need to do is you are going to need to have a MetaMask. Now, if you're not familiar with what a MetaMask is, or how it works, there are a bunch of great tutorials all over YouTube. I have actually a couple of old ones as well. So make sure you guys go and check those out. Really easy to set it up. You can obviously do this on your phone as well, but I'm going to do it on the computer just to make it easy for you guys, okay? So the first thing is you are going to need to have a MetaMask wallet. And then the second thing is obviously you're going to need to go to hex.com. And when you do go to Google, make sure that, when you are searching up Hex, just double check the URL, guys, because there are a lot of scams out there. Actually, what you want to do is you want to type in Hex Crypto. Hex Crypto, it should be the first website, hex.com. But from time to time, people still do fall for these fake links and fake websites. So just, again, always double check the URL, guys. That's the most important thing. So once you come to the website, there's obviously a lot of things you could read about here. He bought the largest diamond, and the little marketing stuff they had with NASCAR, and then some facts. Here's the price of it. The market cap. What it's ranked, stuff like that. So you guys can jump into it. Again, Hex is literally the second best performing crypto after Bitcoin since its inception, which was in 2019. If we do go and take a look at the chart of Hex, when it first came out, I think Hex did like a 50 or 60,000% gain, which is kind of crazy. So this is obviously this is the most liquid chart that I could find. This is actually on Uniswap with USDC. I think there is a wrapped ETH one, maybe that one would be a better one to do. But anyways, since its inception, Hex went on to do 22,000%, which is pretty crazy, guys. 22,000%. So we're talking over 200x, meaning like you could have put $1,000 into this and you'd be sitting at basically $250,000 if you bought the very bottom there. So it's pretty crazy. It's literally the second best performing asset after Bitcoin there. But yeah, a bunch of ads, a bunch of marketing that Hex does do. They kind of slowed down on it. And as we know, Pulsex is launching. But anyways, to buy, as you can see, you can actually buy it on their very own website. They have looks like a Uniswap extension in a way, or you can go to Uniswap itself. You just come over here to launch app. And then same thing, you would connect your MetaMask wallet, make sure you have some Ethereum or some USDC and whatever, pair that you're going to actually trade it with. You connect, just got to load here for a second. Ooh, you can actually save on crypto taxes, guys, if you didn't know. Looks like I should be connected. But anyways, you can go and, let me see, disconnect, MetaMask, waiting for connection. A little slow today, guys, apologies. I guess Web3 still needs some pretty fast internet, right? Which I think I have 400 megabytes. We'll see. But yeah, you can buy it through Uniswap. You can buy it through hex.com. Obviously through hex.com, it should be easier. It looks like Uniswap is loading here finally. All right, click next. And again, you can do this all via your phone. So if you don't even have a computer, it's the same exact thing on MetaMask because they have a built-in browser. So yeah, once you come to Uniswap, you just come over here, go to select token, just type in Hex. And it should pop up. Yep, the first one there. Obviously, on Ethereum, it's going to be probably the most liquid, but USDC is going to be the second most liquid. I would probably do a stablecoin personally, just save your Ethereum for the gas fees, and then you can swap it that way, and it'll be in your MetaMask as well. Or again, you can do the same thing here. It looks like they allow you USDC through here. Let's see. Yep, they do. So you can do it through USDC as well, and then you can swap it, and then you'll have it in your MetaMask, and then after that. I do believe that the incentive is obviously to go stake it because you're going to earn that crazy 38% APY. So you could go on to stake your Hex if you wanted to. Many people do. Personally, I would recommend staking only if you are looking to hold for at least like a year or a couple years. That's the only time it makes kind of sense to me, because then you do earn T shares. And then as you're earning T shares for your stake, you can actually go and trade these T shares for Hedron. So the Hex ecosystem actually goes quite deep, believe it or not. It goes quite deep. For those of you that are not familiar, there's actually a lot of great Hexican YouTubers. That's what they call themselves, Hexicans. There's a lot of great Hexican YouTubers out there that have like a bunch of different strategies on, what to do with your T shares, how to trade all these other Hex ecosystem tokens like Hedron, for instance. So if you do have like a long-term mindset, that could be something that works for you. A lot of people did make a lot of money with Hex. Again, based off where the price is now, I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, just go on and start buying it, because again, this has already been a crazy pump. We're talking about a 5x. So I would probably wait, maybe for a little pullback, and I think anywhere, it looks like this area right here might be a good buy. So maybe, I don't know, like anywhere like the 5-6 cent range, if it does pull back to there. Obviously, none of this is financial advice, so you guys are gonna have to do your own, analysis. But yeah, you never want to be buying this, because this is basically buying the top here. Okay, so once you buy your Hex, you can go ahead and stake it, and then you can pick the amount of days. I think most people stake for at least 2 years or so. But that's going to be obviously completely, dependent on you, and what your mindset and your goal is with buying Hex and staking it. All right, and then that's pretty much Hex. And then you obviously have Pulsex. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, basically what Richard Hart is doing is really crazy. He's going to be not only forking the Ethereum blockchain, which is very popular now in crypto. Right? A lot of layer ones are like a fork of Ethereum, but he's also going to be forking Uniswap, which is the most liquid decentralized exchange in the world right now, which is pretty crazy. So Pulsechain, the sacrifice happened summer 2021. Pulsechain is a fork of Ethereum. All right, and then basically, you sent money over. You could sacrifice, whether it's Hex, Ethereum, any of these coins, and basically what happens is in the future date, you're going to get these tokens magically airdrop, right? You sacrifice with no expectation or no intention of getting anything back, and then in one day, somewhere down the line, whether it's a couple months or a year or two, you're magically going to have these tokens airdrop to you, the equivalent of however much you sacrifice. So Pulsechain is a fork of Ethereum. Now, Pulsex, their sacrifice ended February 2022, and Pulsex is the fork of Uniswap, which is, again, the most liquid decentralized exchange on the market right now. So, as we can see, Richard Hart, had a tweet, looks like it was yesterday, when Pulsechain testnet v3 launches, it will also count as your warning that mainnet could launch at any time. I really would love to see everyone enjoying their free coins as soon as possible, fingers crossed. So, again, basically what ended up happening was May 2022, Richard Hart was saying that, Pulsex is just, it's 4 weeks away. It's a couple weeks away. We're going to launch. And then inevitably he didn't launch, or they didn't launch because of apparently issues with developers. Alex actually called it. He said that it would really not be smart for Richard Hart to launch right now because of the liquidity issues. And that was right around the time that Luna collapsed. And then, we saw what happened over summer. Celsius, BlockFi, a lot of these other platforms started to go under. And then later in the year, FTX. So the last thing I'm sure that Richard Hart would have wanted to do was to launch something like Pulsex and Pulsechain, where in the beginning there are going to be some liquidity issues, and the last thing you want to do is launch it where there's already great liquidity issues in the overall crypto market. And based off of prior history, Hex launched at the very end of the last bear market, which is around 2019. If we do go and look at the chart right here, when Hex first came out, this says May here. I guess the chart doesn't go back far enough, but it did actually launch at the very, very end of the last bear market, like end of 2019, basically. So that's kind of the theory that Alex has as well. And to me, it also does make a lot of sense. Why would you want to launch a project in a bear market where there's a lot of liquidity that's, leaving the market? You don't want to have liquidity issues. Now, granted, the argument is, well, look, Pulsex itself has over $1 billion sacrifice, so it shouldn't necessarily have too many liquidity issues. But regardless, it's better to kind of, play on the safe side, delay it, actually make sure that everything works. It's good that he's doing a lot of these test nets, which I've actually played with them myself. They do work really well. I wonder if there's a link in here. Let's see if there's a link for the test net. You can actually check your leaderboard, but I'm sure if you guys actually Google it, you'll be able to find it. Let's see, Pulsex test net. So you can actually go in there, play around, provide liquidity, They give you like fake coins as if you actually had them in your wallet. Oh yeah, this is actually what it looks like right here. Cool. So you can actually come in here, provide some liquidity, practice some trades, staking, kind of develop a strategy. People are still trying to figure out, is it going to be smarter to hold Hex? Is it going to be smarter to hold Pulsex or Pulse coin? Or is it going to be smarter to provide liquidity? At the end of the day, I don't think we're really going to know until it finally launches. So as you can see, the top tokens looks like Wrap Pulse and Pulsex. Again, this is on the test net. This is all fake. This is not real money. It's just kind of like, Richard Hart has created this with the developers just so people can get a feel for what Pulsex will look like. As you can see, it looks very similar to Uniswap, pretty much identical. So if you do have a very good background in DeFi and liquidity and trading and things like that, APR and farming, then I'm sure this is just going to be another great opportunity. And as we know, once you get in early enough to some of these farms, you really can make a lot of money. So if you guys do want me to make like a really in-depth video with like farms and kind of some of the strategies that you could do with once Pulsex launches, definitely let me know in the comments, guys. But yeah, this is what the testnet looks like. Again, you just need to have your wallet, and I think they do give you like a little bit of cash to play with, or a couple of tokens to play with. But there's also like a faucet. So a faucet is where you can get like tokens to use in a testnet, so that then you can actually, like I said, play around with the actual platform and software, and just to kind of get a feel for it. But that's pretty much it. Like nothing too fancy. Again, for those of you that are really new to crypto, I'm sure you've probably there's always one person that never got into crypto, but has somebody that got into crypto because of Hex. And they've been pushing them to get into crypto because of Hex. And, they're wanting them to buy Hex. So with that being said, what is my prediction of Pulsex, the price? Well, on the testnet, it says that it's 0.001. All right, so basically it's less than a penny. Again, price predictions are always a very difficult thing to do. Again, when it first launches, there's going to be crazy price fluctuations. People are going to try to be either buying Pulse or Pulsex or Hex and this. There's going to be a lot of volatility. So I'm not going to give you price prediction. But what I can say is this, is there is a decent amount of the crypto population that did miss out on Hex, per se. Right? They saw this massive run-up. They saw this huge 22,000, 26,000% gain. And what we have to remember is Hex really only does one thing. It's just you buy it and you stake it. It's nothing fancy, and there's really not much else to it. Pulsex is going to be completely different, and so is Pulsechain. Pulsechain is going to be its own blockchain. Pulsex is going to be its very own exchange, its very own decentralized exchange. So there is a lot more utility to Pulsex and Pulsechain, which means there's probably going to be a lot more demand because we all want to save money on gas fees. And for those of you who also didn't know, since he is forking Ethereum, anything that you have on your Ethereum MetaMask, so any coin, right, any ERC20 token that you have in your MetaMask, it is going to get carbon copied onto the Pulsechain mainnet. So that means if I have, if I have $47 of Ethereum right now, and Pulsechain launches right now, I'm going to get $47 worth of Ethereum on the Pulsechain blockchain, which is pretty crazy. So that's why also a lot of people, really want to know when it's going to launch, because they're probably going to want to move a lot of their assets to their MetaMask on the Ethereum network, so that they then they can get a carbon copy on the Pulsechain network, which is pretty smart. It's basically free money at that point. On top of the tokens, you're also going to be airdropped. So because of that, I think Pulsex is going to be setting up to do some pretty crazy gains, personally. Because the fact that Hex was able to do this in from August 2020 up until the very peak of the bull run, which is October, November 2021, did a 20,000% gain. So what's that, a little over a year and a half? Am I saying that Pulsex is going to do the same exact gain in the same amount of time? No, right? Market conditions are completely different. However, the fact that a lot of people doubted Hex so much and really didn't get into it, and now they've seen what it was able to do, they're not missing the boat with Pulsex. This is why Pulsex has such a huge... This is why Pulsex did have so many people sacrifice, almost $1 billion. Remember, this is for Pulsex. I don't know necessarily the number for Pulsechain. Let me see if they actually have it. Pulsechain sacrifice. Let's see if we can see the amount of people sacrificed here. Pulsechain testnet is live. Testnet goals, trading. Yeah, it doesn't say here how many people sacrificed for Pulsechain, but I'm assuming it's probably maybe close to the same amount or half of that. Regardless, a lot of people sacrificed a lot of money because they saw, again, the price performance that Hex did, and they don't want to miss that opportunity now with Pulsechain. So that's what I'm going to leave you with, guys. If you want to make your own price predictions, go ahead. Will it hit $1? I don't know. I mean, Hex got up to 50 cents. Let's say Pulsex does a quarter of that. So that's what, 12 cents? Or a fifth of that, 10 cents, just to make it easier for math. Let's say Pulsex does hits 10 cents. That's a pretty crazy gain regardless. That's 1,000x. So if you sacrifice, let's say $1,000, or sorry, it's a 10x. If you, let's say, sacrifice $1,000 and you just 10x that, well, you just turn $1,000 into 10,000. That's a pretty good gain. Imagine if it does that in the bear market. Again, not financial advice. I don't know. I'm just a YouTuber with the hoodie talking about Pulsechain and Pulsex. So, yeah. So hopefully that, guys, was an informative tutorial on actually how to buy Hex, whether it's on their website or on Uniswap, and then actually how to access their testnet for Pulsex. And as you can see, there's also one for Pulsechain. So if you want to start playing around with it, and just to give you a quick little background on Hex, Pulsex, Richard Heart, and Pulsechain. So if you guys appreciate this content, leave a like. If not, leave some constructive criticism in the comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.